Hey guys, how's it going? Comparing you. So I know a lot of you have been asking a lot of questions about the character I'm playing right now on open beta in Path of Exile, and to satisfy some of those needs that you guys have, and some of the needs that some people that are really pissed off that there's so many people asking about the build, um, we're gonna go over the build real quick, and maybe we'll give you guys some ideas because I know some of you watching are pretty new at the game and all that stuff, and are kind of curious how the end game plays out, what kind of stuff you can do with the slightly higher level characters. Let's go over that real quick. So basically, I made a Templar. I did the regular starting with the mana tree thing. I originally made a, I originally went this melee line here, and then I got that stuff. About level 45, I spec'd those 4 points and got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I got those 4 points. And I also rushed for Eldritch Battery, and I got my static blows. And right now I'm trying to get the extra life nodes in my next 3 levels. I'm going to be getting those. And you know, I'm a Wand Templar, and you guys have noticed something. I haven't gotten the power charges yet. That's because, you know, in this game you're typically going to die rather than, you know, having to kill stuff maybe a split second faster. You know, it's more important to stay alive, especially because it's a permanent league. There's no real value of risk reward in a matter of, you know, a 10-20 hour period. The risk reward is, you know, very, very late game. If it was a race, I probably would get a little bit more damage, but it isn't. What I am getting is all the mana regen talents in the Templar, all the mana regen talents in the Witch. I am getting Eldritch Battery, so I have a slightly larger mana pool, although I don't plan to use Energy Shield gear. The extra mana that I gain from Discipline, among with the Energy Shield talents, make it quite useful and allow me to run more auras than a normal player would be able to. The weakness of this build is largely the fact that you can't get that much life, so it's fairly important to get one of these puppies right here. It's a 5 linked armor. This is not particularly good 5 linked armor, but it is a 5 linked armor nonetheless. And as a 5 linked armor, I'm using my wand ability, which is what I use. I am a wander. It's kind of like using a bow. Everything's attack based. There's no spells. Just kind of like a bow, but instead of using a quiver, you use a shield, which makes it a little bit more defensive, but also a little bit less versatile when it comes to comparing wand attacks to bow attacks. So this is the main wand attack, Power Siphon. It has Culling Strike, so when a target hits 10%, it dies instantly, and you gain a power charge when you kill a target with Culling Strike, or when a player that's not you kills the target that you hit soon after you hit it. So I got the Power Siphon with Chain, with lesser multiple projectiles, with Life Leech, which is the 5th most important one, and with weapon elemental damage. I'm using Life Leech because I'm purely life-based, so to help me stay alive, it's fairly important to get this particular gem. So in general, my stats are fairly alright. My main thing is I'm lacking accuracy quite a bit, and I had to overcompensate for the dexterity because the 5 link that I happen to get at this point of the game is a dexterity armor. Ideally, you'd want armor-based armor like the helm I'm using. This is a fairly good item. You're looking for items like, life, resist, and some accuracy on helm. Similar stats for gloves, maybe some elemental damage. The rings or jewelry are going to be the bulk of the damage that you do. So when you see a roll like 3 to 40 lightning or 5 to 12 fire, all that stuff is going to get amplified like crazy from all your elemental damage nodes, from all your wand nodes, and again multiplied by the weapon elemental damage nodes, and again multiplied by the fact that you can use a increased critical damage gem at a later time. So right now in the 3 link, I think it's here, yeah, weapon elemental, power siphon, faster attacks. That little trio there, that's going to have increased critical damage, and that's going to be my single target attack, and this 5 link here is my AoE attack. Among those abilities, I use Skeletal Totem. So where is it here? Is it this one? Yes, it is. Faster casting, summon skeletons, spell totem, so this creates a totem that summons skeletons non-stop. I used to use decoy totem on a character like this, but that is really not the best thing to do because it has way, way less life. And you can see that the weapon is what it is. You want some elemental damage on the weapon. You want a fast weapon. That's really about it. It's really about it. Anything else you can get is nice, but you can't be too choosy about things. And the shield here, it's going to use my Enduring Cry, which gives me some endurance charges when I need them. Elemental Weakness, and anger. I have anger there because I don't have it, perfectly linked in the items that I want. I have some more auras here: grace, discipline, reduced mana, determination, wrath, clarity, linked to another reduced mana. So let's see how this works here. So I have, this runs 6 auras. I run a 7th eventually. I run Tempest Shield, but it's going to be much later game. And I can also swap out determination for vitality at a later time if I'm doing a map that requires us to have more regeneration. I can swap out clarity for purity, probably. It's a little bit tricky sometimes to run 2 40% auras, but I think I can do this if we really need to do it from a map or something. And I can swap my weapon to cast Enfeeble if it's a really dangerous target. So let's cast the auras here. I got Wrath, adds lightning damage, which gets amped up a lot. Anger adds fire damage, which gets amped up a lot. I got Grace. I'll cast the important aura here, Discipline. This gives me Energy Shield, which, all of these are multiplied by my Inner Force increased buff, and then multiplied again by the Energy Shield talent, so that's why my mana skyrockets so high. So I'm up to 4 auras, and the next 2 are going to be the biggest ones. So Clarity gives me mana regeneration, and the big defensive one, Determination. Determination is an armor percent multiplier. It multiplies all of the existing armor you have beforehand, and then gives a figure that's multiplied by its value. So I have 1500 armor, not particularly good, but that's because I'm using a chest that I wouldn't normally use because of availability. 3200 evasion, again that's a little higher because of my chest right now. And I have the ability to block, and I have very high mana regen. That's why I'm not using a mana flask. I'm using an instant hollowed flask. Usually I'd use an instant being sieving of heat, so I can dispel chill effects. Surges of warding, because I crit so much with wands. I pretty much want everything surgeons, so this removes curses and regenerates charges fairly quickly. Surges Quicksilver of Adrenaline, perfect flask. Surgeon's Granite of Iron Skin, perfect type of flask. The roll is not so good. You want 100%. If you can get close to it, is fine. And Surgeon Flask of Warding for curse removal. So sometimes when you're facing mobs, having more armor may help, but being immune during the effect of the granite will ensure you to survive, because a lot of mobs spam a particular type of curse that would otherwise kill you. So I have Elemental Weakness here, and I usually cast that. If dangerous mobs, I cast Summon Skeletons, and I pretty much proceed to kill some stuff. So let me show you guys how that works. This is Merciless Fell Shrine. This is like the 3rd day of the open beta, so this is some very early stuff. This is a very gear-based build. Like, if you're not an experienced player, you are certainly going to die with this spec. Again, this is a level 59 zone, and I'm pretty experienced here, so this is not going to be much of a challenge most of the time. But as you know, with this game, sometimes you run into that one pack that ends up killing you, so it's never really know. So these are a little bit dangerous, deals extra damage. I can cast my Skeletal Totem, and it doesn't cast skeletons. I got this extra skin because this skin spawns like these statues, and the statues lag a little bit less than the skeletons. So being pay to win the game that it is, that's the game model of Path of Exile. I have to accommodate that to win at all costs, and all the good stuff. Now, this spec plays up pretty well. As you can see, my AoE damage is fair. My single target damage is quite poor, but that's because I don't have very high crit yet, and I don't have the crit multiplier gem attached to my single target ability. When I have my crit multiplier gem attached to my single target ability, it becomes very powerful, because I'm doing exclusively elemental based damage, and when I crit, I do a lot of it, meaning I can shock stack bosses unlike most, if not almost all, other specs in the game at this point. So what do I do for the future, because I'm only level 70? I plan to get the Conduit. I'm just going to go down here, invest 4 points, share Endurance, Frenzy, and Power Charge with party members. So this is going to allow my party to kill a lot faster, a lot more effectively, as well as the Endurance sharing is going to allow us to survive, them to survive in a more perilous situation. In terms of the build, like I mentioned, I'm going to get maximum power charges. Elementalist is something I'd get eventually. Maximum power charges, all the life nodes here. I'm going to get this dexterity point, arcane blows, evasion, energy shield, nullification. And then I'm going to go here, crit, dex. And then way later level, I'm going to get movement speed, fitness. And before I do that, I'll probably go across the top. So I'll go int, mental acuity for some crit, 3 life nodes here, acceleration for attack speed, and then near level 100 I'll be doing projectile damage, projectile damage, projectile damage. I can also opt to get a little bit more life. I'm not too sure how the very high level maps scale in this game, but in any case it should be a pretty good spec. I've played this on alpha, it is fairly successful. Like I said, the thing is that it's not a very tanky build. You can die, you can get like 2-shot, so you really have to know what you're doing in the late game, and it's very difficult to level up with this spec because you have to use some kind of melee build, but it's hard enough for melees to survive like the middle of Cruel. It's another thing to do it with an unoptimized spec intentionally that you'd switch in a few levels. So around level 40s, 46 I think is when I switched, and it was very rough up to that point. Try to play in a group, try to get others to help you, because later in the game you'll be helping them. So hopefully you guys learned something, so you guys can see what's going on, and maybe you stop bugging those people that get irritated when you ask about what's Crep spec, what's Crep spec. I don't mind, but some people do. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.